Okay, welcome to this explainer. Today we're doing a deep dive into the incredible architecture of the Internet of Things, or IoT. We are going to map out the journey from tiny physical sensors all the way up to massive 5G cloud networks. If you're a college student, an engineering beginner, or just someone who wants to learn exactly how to interface a humidity sensor with an Arduino, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to break down how you measure the invisible moisture in the air to build truly smart applications. We'll be talking about popular sensors like the DHT11, the DHT22, and the AHT20. We'll cover the wiring, the code, the common mistakes to avoid, and how all of this scales up into real-world systems. Let's get into it. Here is our quick roadmap for today. We'll start with the IoT revolution, move into sensors, check out the microcontrollers, see how we connect to the cloud, and finish up with some amazing real-world applications. Section 1, the IoT revolution. Let's start with a foundational concept just to get us all on the exact same page before we start playing with the hardware. So, the Internet of Things is really all about the networking of physical objects that contain embedded electronics. The absolutely crucial point here is that we are giving everyday physical objects the ability to literally feel the world around them and then communicate those feelings. We are basically taking a dumb environment and giving it a nervous system. Section 2, sensors. The system's senses. To truly understand how this hardware works, it helps to use a biological analogy, starting with the senses. How does a machine actually feel its environment? Well, this journey often begins in academic institutions, like the Sathiboma Institute, which rigorously study the foundation of this tech, teaching students how to build these complex systems from the ground up. In any smart system, the hardware naturally separates into two distinct roles. On one side, you have the sensor, which acts autonomously to just feel the environment, capturing raw data like moisture, gas, or temperature. On the other side, you have the processor, which actually thinks about that data, extracting valuable insights. You simply can't have a smart system without both the senses and the brain working together in harmony. Let's look at a very specific sense, the DHT11 humidity and temperature sensor. If you're a beginner, this little blue module is going to be your best friend. It acts as the digital skin of your IoT system. So what is it actually doing? It's measuring relative humidity, which is basically the amount of water vapor present in the air at a specific temperature. Think about it like this. You know how damp clothes take way longer to dry when it's super humid outside? That's because the air is already full of moisture. This sensor uses a basic capacitive sensing element to detect exactly that. Now, quick tip. There's a difference between a standalone DHT11 sensor and a DHT11 module. The standalone one is just a bare 4-pin component, and you'll need to wire up your own pull-up resistor to get it working. But the module versions have 3 pins and all those necessary components built right in. The wiring is a breeze. Your VCC pin goes to 5V power, GND goes to ground, and your data pin connects straight to a digital pin on your microcontroller. It's incredibly low cost, runs on low power, and is a staple in academic prototypes. Section 3, the brains, microcontrollers. A sense of humidity is entirely useless without a brain to process it. That brings us to our microcontrollers. Enter the Arduino Uno. This is your processing powerhouse and one of the most common embedded systems used in beginner projects. To get this running, you just need your Arduino, the DH11, a breadboard, some jumper wires, a USB cable, and the Arduino IDE software on your computer. When it comes to programming this brain, it's really straightforward. You'll structure your code with a setup function and a continuous loop function. First, you have to include the DH11 library. Don't forget that step. In your setup, you'll initialize the sensor and use the command serial.begin to open up communication. Then, in your loop, you tell the Arduino to read the humidity and temperature values and use serial.print to display them on your screen. You can even hook up an LCD display or a buzzer that goes off if the room gets too humid. The Arduino gathers the raw feeling from this sensor and turns it into readable intelligence. Section 4, connecting to the cloud. Okay. We have our senses wired up, and we have our Arduino brain processing the data. But a brain stuck on a desk doesn't do much good. How does this hardware communicate its findings to the rest of the world? Let's look at how this data flows. Step 1, the DHT11 captures the humidity. Step 2, the Arduino processes it. And hey, let's pause here for some best practices. One of the most common mistakes beginners make is trying to read the sensor too frequently. These sensors need a second to breathe. You have to put a small delay, like 2 seconds, between your readings or you'll get errors. Also, Always verify your wiring before powering the circuit to avoid frying anything, and make sure those connections aren't loose. All right, moving on to step 3. The Arduino uses a Wi-Fi module, like an ESP8266 or an ESP32, to transmit that data over your network. Step 4. The data is pushed onto a cloud server. Platforms like ThingSpeak are heavily used to display your room's moisture levels globally on a cool dashboard.
But how do these devices actually talk to the cloud? Behind the scenes, IoT systems often use the MQTT protocol, which relies on a simple publish and subscribe model. Your Arduino acts as a publisher, shouting out, "Hey, the humidity is 45%" to a central broker. Then, your smartphone app acts as a subscriber, silently waiting to receive that specific update. It's incredibly lightweight, which is absolutely perfect for these tiny microcontrollers.
And this is where the IoT nervous system gets a massive, futuristic upgrade. With the rollout of 5G, the response time is reduced to just a few milliseconds. It practically eliminates the delay between the sensor feeling a change in the room and the cloud registering it. Because of 5G's incredible efficiency with small data packets, a remote sensor out in a smart agriculture field can run for months without draining its battery. It offers stable connections from massive networks of devices, allowing for seamless, instantaneous environmental monitoring on a massive scale. So we understand the hardware loop now. DHT11 to Arduino, Arduino to Wi-Fi, Wi-Fi to cloud. But this brings us to the most vital part of our explainer. How is measuring something as simple as moisture actually saving lives? Section 5, Real-World Applications. Let's zoom back out and look at how engineers are deploying this exact architecture to solve major real-world problems. Look at this incredible example from researchers Hashim and their team. Using the exact beginner-friendly DHT11 sensor and Arduino we just discussed, they built a smart healthcare monitoring system. They paired the humidity sensor with heart rate and body temperature sensors. Why? Because the ambient room humidity directly impacts patient comfort and respiratory health. Too high or too low, and it can exacerbate conditions. All this data is sent to the ThingSpeak cloud. If the Arduino processes an abnormal reading, it automatically sends an SMS text message directly to a doctor. Other research teams have utilized variations of this setup, using NodeMCU processors, which have Wi-Fi built right in, to track blood pressure, heart rate, and oxygen levels for round-the-clock remote monitoring. As the literature notes, this architecture is highly beneficial for safely monitoring patients with COVID-19 or asthma from afar. It really proves that the basic code and wiring you learn on a breadboard is incredibly scalable to real-world healthcare. And it goes way beyond healthcare. You can build robust, low-cost environmental monitors for under $150. By interfacing microcontrollers with sensors for humidity, temperature, UV radiation, and pollutants, users can pull climatic data directly via JSON or CSV files. This kind of tech is being used right now for smart weather stations, greenhouse monitoring, optimizing HVAC systems, and even in museums to ensure the humidity stays at the perfect level to preserve ancient artifacts. So, the next time you look at a simple Arduino board or wire up a little blue DHT11 sensor, remember that you are looking at the building blocks of a global nervous system. With sensors getting cheaper, open-source libraries making coding a breeze, and Wi-Fi networks making connections instantaneous, it leaves us with one provocative question. When the barrier to entry is just a cheap sensor and a few lines of code, what invisible data surrounding you right now will you measure to revolutionize our world tomorrow? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. Now go grab a breadboard, verify your wiring, and start building.